All right, you guys, gonna go ahead and construct the battery box. You guys can do them in a row. You can do vertical, horizontal. I'm gonna go ahead and do them vertical like this. We're gonna be using this thing of L channel. It's 1/8 inch thick by 1.25 inch tall. This will be plenty enough. And then for the base of it, for the floor pan, you could essentially call it, we're gonna be using 1/8 inch plate. Then we're gonna go ahead and stitch weld along this bottom seam here, all the way across the outside perimeter. And then you guys obviously know from the L channel, we're going to make a simple box to go all the way around this, keep it nice and condensed. And then for the actual hold downs, I went to Lowe's again, got some all thread. This is 5/16 by 1/8 inch, or it's gonna be 5/16 by 18 all thread. Gonna trim this down. Then I got these little knobs here that will be the hold down so you can spin them on and off. And then to the base plate to screw these into, I'm gonna be using some nuts I'm gonna weld on the back side, obviously. And then for the top, I'm gonna be using this extra piece of flat stock I already had. This is 3/16. It's a little bit thicker, so that'll hold the load plenty enough. Or I might even use a leftover here if we have some, but I doubt it. And those will attach right there. And obviously I'll put some rubber, which I have right here. I'll cut some pieces, and I'll put probably a 3-inch strip here, 3-inch strip there, so we're not just metal and plastic chafing the batteries together. And once these batteries are in place, there's going to be just enough room to get it in here, so we're going to have to weld it when it's together like this in the workbench. But let's go ahead and get our base plate made, and we'll go from there. You guys can see nice straight cuts all the way around. We have just enough. We want these batteries to be tight, and I can always put a very small piece of rubber in between them, but you guys can see we have plenty of room where they won't chafe, only right here, but I'm not worried about it. We actually have a little bit of room that I could space these out some. So other than that, I'm going to go ahead and start cutting our L channel. What I'm simply going to do is, to keep math easy, move the batteries out. And obviously, I'm going to put the L channel either on the bottom or on the top, but I'm probably thinking on the top so we can keep a small lip underneath the L channel. That way when we go to stitch weld the inside every couple inches, it'll really give it some rigidity. Then we can stitch weld the outside too. All right, you guys, about 15 minutes later, we have our little channel here, okay? Again, I'm hiding the imperfection edges on the inside. Not worried about it. It's way this nice finished edge all the way around. I didn't go back and clean any of the edges up because we're going to weld right back over it. So I want to take a angle grinder real quick, and I'm just going to rough up all the mill scale off the corners here so I can get it tacked. I don't have 4 magnets. Obviously, I have 3, so I'm going to have to tack one side, move it down here, but at least I have these. I recommend you guys get some 90-degree magnets for things like this. They're very handy. Anyways, going to go ahead, throw some flux in the MIG gun. I don't have any gas right now, unfortunately, so I'm going to go back old school, and anybody can do this with just a basic little Harbor Freight welder, and that's what I have as a titanium 200. And yeah, so we're going to go ahead, get our little box. Right, you guys got it all tacked up. Again, this flux core ain't nothing pretty, but it is what it is. So went ahead, tacked the bottom of it. And again, my cuts aren't 100% precise. I'm not really going for anything here. It's on the bottom. More worried about just the sides and everything. And again, we're going to fill these cracks in. We'll weld them nice and flush. All right, so here's the battery tray. I got this done last night. I still have to, go back, clean up a bunch of the scale, the rust and everything. You guys can see, went ahead and upgraded to a 1/4 inch top bracket because this 3/16 was actually bowing in the middle when I went and tightened down the actual lugs on the other side. So we're good to go there. We got some parts from Amazon, so let's go ahead and check it out. So this is 150 bucks worth of parts, not bad. So I ordered 2 packs of distribution blocks. So just in case I need some extra ones for another project. So we have distribution blocks. These will get mounted, positive ones, of course, on these brackets here and on this bracket here. Then here are the plugs for the bed. Kind of wish it came in a plastic container, but oh well. These are going to be for the wires, so we can drill a hole, push the wire through, nice professional. Here's our kill switch. You don't have to have one of these, obviously, but this was a cheap, basic bare bone. It had 3/8 studs. Everything we're using is 3/8 here. And that's probably going to get mounted somewhere along the lines of there. Obviously, I opened some of this packaging. Here's our 3/0 terminal lens with 3/8 holes because we have 3/8 studs on our distribution blocks, and they keep them with heat shrink. So that's that there. And then these are the Dremel lug connector covers. Just a nice little extra touch. And then here are the actual connectors we're going to be using on top of the battery. Again, these are 3/8, negative, negative, positive. All right, you guys, went ahead and got this top plate made. Not my prettiest work again, but I'm just using basic hand tools any other white boy has in their garage, okay? And then here's the switch. That's going to sit right there in the middle. Then obviously this will all get powder coated and cleaned up. You guys went ahead and cut our first case off. You can see there's these big 3/8 eyelets that will go there. And I'll have to trim this cable up some, or I can put a bend in the middle. But yeah, so I need to trim a good solid inch and a quarter off that maybe. And then, you know, we still have this to compensate. So I'll probably just take the length off of that. And that should do us pretty well. So, not negative side cables are done. 3/0 cutting this stuff is not fun, even with a grinder. You guys can see we have our negative to negative to our switch. And then our other side will be the cable coming in from the actual frame of the truck. All right, you guys. Well, as far as cables on the batteries, they're done. Got our 2 for the negatives, 1 for our positive. Went ahead and used some red heat shrink to obviously indicate that's positive, that's negative. Go figure. Doesn't matter, you'll see a little bit of black cable. As long as you guys can tell, have common sense, and this is my vehicle. Yes, I did put some protective duct tape on the bottom of the battery box so they won't chafe. Use some of this heavy-duty Gorilla stuff. Not perfect, really don't care. It's a battery box. Just something so the batteries have some more grip so they really don't slide. It would have been okay, but it's a little extra detail. You guys, using our 1-inch metal paddle bit, went ahead, went to the bed floor, through the bed rail. And again, you guys don't have to do this. You can easily come over here and run it on the outside of the bed skirt, then come in. But I like them to go straight down. It keeps them nice and uniformed in line with each other. And it'd be easy just to put a chassis ground straight to the frame, and then the other one will be a positive. And then we have our 1-inch grommets that'll fit top and bottom. Let's go ahead, clean this hole up. All right, you guys, went ahead, cleaned the hole up with a magnet and a vacuum. Got all the metal shavings out of there. Went ahead, clear coated the top, the bottom, did the bottom of the top, and I did the bottom, from the bottom, if that makes sense. But anyways, we're not gonna have any rust issues. Went pretty heavy on it. It's clear coat, you'll never see it. Got our grommets here. Those are simply going to get pushed in there. We need to go ahead and get our 2 cables ran. So remember, I had my 2 relays over here for my hideaways in this truck. I moved them over here. We used to have 1 ground that would attach over in this area somewhere for the block that comes off, and it's this wire right here. Went ahead, I put another lead on the end of that, grounded it right here with this factory ground, grounded the 2 relays right here as well. Went ahead, mounted that here using the factory battery tray hold down hardware, literally just reusing parts here. I went ahead and made a brand new crossover line using the factory clips. It's held down, and then these factory plastic push tabs. So it's held in by the factory hardware, but this is all 1-gauge wire. Reloomed it, comes all the way over, attaches the factory connection points, and then over here we're going to install our second bus box distribution block. You guys can see, went ahead, I cut the end off on the factory cable. It's still good, and if I had to guess, I believe that's 3/0. If not, it might be 4/0. But it's pretty thick stuff. We have our terminal here for the glow plug, and then this is for my electric fan for my AC condenser, and then here is the factory ground I went ahead and clipped off. So I need to go ahead and get busy on this side. I'm going to go ahead, just ground this somewhere along the body somewhere, just like I did that one over there. All right, you guys, my clamps finally came in. Amazon decided to screw me on a day, but anyways, you guys see I'm using this 5-foot long fiberglass insulated wire insulation. This stuff was like $7 for 5 foot. This stuff's actually really nice. It's good for 800 degrees continuous and 2200 degrees maximum. And since we're going to be running this on the inside of the frame rail right next to the exhaust that I have, I wanted to protect this wire because it's not cheap and I didn't want it to catch fire, number 1. And number 2. So I got 3 things of it. I'm going to start with 2, and I'm going to tape them here in the middle. I'm going to tuck them in once. I'm going to tuck it in right there in the middle where they can join. I'm going to save this last piece here just in case we need it, because I have a little extra wire. I made this a little long, so if I need to trim it, you know, think ahead of time. I was waiting on these nice stainless steel wire loom clamps. I went with 7/8 outside diameter to crimp down on this casing and then the actual wire. So I haven't looked at this yet, but let's see if it fits. Look at that. So, all right, you guys, been a lot of off-camera work with this project, just trying to get this done. So I went ahead, took the cold side out, charged pipe, got my wire ran up in this fireproof or fire retardant loom you guys saw earlier. Ended up using all 3 pieces, so I'm glad I bought that 3rd roll. We have that in the very first lug. Second lug is our starter. Then our third lug is a 1-gauge pure copper that goes all the way up underneath this loom, up and over to our alternator. So while I was in here, I went ahead and upgraded to a bigger alternator wire, because why not? I'm still retaining the factory 6-gauge at the tip of my finger. You guys can see there. There's our 3-aught ground, our factory hole in the frame, and I did not have to drill any holes for this entire project running these wires. You can see those stainless steel hose clamps that I use are loom clamps. We have it in this fire retardant loom. Comes down. I still have to go back and loom these wires and that, so ignore that. Come up underneath the truck. We go the entire length. Again, using those hose clamps, I can join them right there in the middle. There it is right. Oh, let me go back to my wide lens. There it is right there, all the way up. And then it runs up and it misses the manifold by a good 3 inches. So we have plenty of airspace to cool that off. And again, this stuff's good for 800 continuous degrees, so I'm not worried about it. All right, you guys, well, that's a wrap to relocating the batteries to my bed in my 2002 7.3 Powerstroke. It's been a few days. We've had no problems. And if you guys are going to see the next video, or depending on when I upload them, you guys will see I went ahead and deleted my coolant bottle, relocated it over here. Other than that, we freed up a lot of room underneath the engine bay. I've got my big Whistler intake, I call it, because this thing sucks so much air. And you guys can see the wiring's all nice, tucked in the bed. We come back here, and once I put my bed cover back on, you guys will never see it. So thanks for watching, guys. Make sure you guys follow me on Instagram over at Powerstroke Boys. Please subscribe, comment, like the video. We'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.